What's up, people of the internet? This is Jonathan, and this is another episode of Just Talking Marvel. I'm tonight joined by my co-host James.
Hey, what's up?
See, here's the thing. I Part of me wants to turn my head and look at you because I know that we're set up in like a block, and one half of the screen is you, and the other half is me. But I don't know for sure which side is going to be you yet. Let On the last episode, James was on the left and I was on the right. So part of me wants to look this way to make it look like I'm actually looking at James. But seeing as those results have not yet been replicated, I don't actually know where to look. So I'm just going to look into the camera like every sane person does. James, how'd you do this week?
Not much, just mostly working. That's about
Yes.
it. Work,
Work, work, as
work,
Rihanna.
read comics. Posted my first article in the crawl space. That was about it.
Yes, congratulations. James is now on the Spider-Man crawl space. Um, I'm still on Twitter. um, yes, so I still haven't gotten a proper backdrop, so you still get the box behind me. I'm thinking of, I'm actually coming up with ideas of what to put back there, but again, work. So unfortunately, yeah, we haven't gotten to that yet. But we got some stuff to talk about this week. We got a new episode, WandaVision. We got some news that came out today that really I wasn't expecting and kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit, but it just randomly just came out and people are talking about it, and so I feel like we should talk about it. And then we're gonna cap off the show with what comics we're reading and whether or not you should be reading them too. So first off, WandaVision episode 7, titled "Breaking the Fourth Wall," and this is WandaVision Modern Family. It's literally it's the opening the intro sequence is The Office, and then the whole rest of the episode is Modern Family. Now here's the
But
thing.
to be fair, Modern Family ripped off The Office, so
So they're ripping off a ripoff of John Krasinski.
no. They're parodying a ripoff of a adaptation of a British show.
Yes. So basically none of the ideas in this episode were original, but that's the whole point. Is it's a parody. But okay, so basically in this episode of WandaVision, Wanda is just kind of she's not happy. She's not in a good place. And that's saying something because let's remember that the whole setup to this show is Wanda is in such a state of grief, depression, and ultimately denial that she creates a false reality where she and Vision are married and where she controls literally everything except for the things that she doesn't control. So she's even more depressed than that. That's saying something. But yeah, so Wanda decides to basically just tell her kids that life means nothing, which I thought was really funny because it's
I
just like,
took
oh,
I took it as more of the beginning of this episode with how Wanda acts is more of a parody of like the middle. But how that also has the whole kind of the narrating mom, except it's not that. But it's always like the joke is like she's lazy at times, that mom, and she's really forgetful. I took that as that's their take on it, is that Wanda's just like her, and because it's a modern family sitcom.
but I'll admit that was really funny to me when she's just like, yeah, life means nothing. Don't like life is pointless. I don't know, and she's like, okay, maybe I went a little dark there. Wanda, you just, I think you just broke like literally every rule of parenting. So
I
good
I I,
job.
I like it though when she brings up the fact that she goes, yeah, I also expanded the barrier to my fake reality because I can't get over the death of people in my life, or as I call it, a case of the Mondays. It's like she's chalking up somebody having a really bad day at work to, it's the case of the Mondays. No, you're House of Emming everybody, Wanda.
We got Monica Rambeau showing powers in this episode, And Monica Rambeau, is she the first mutant? Is she not? We don't know because I mean, it was established in the previous episode by Darcy. Hashtag Darcy Lewis stands for life. That was a hashtag that I was just doing with my fingers. If you couldn't figure that out. Um, but yes, Darcy explains in the previous episode that going through the WandaVision Westview hex barrier rewrites Monica's cells, and it's happened twice. So going through again only rewrote her cells more, and now she has superpowers, which she kind of shows, but I have a feeling they're going to save that for Captain Marvel 2, which she's set to reprise her role in. Or maybe she comes in at the finale because she is still in Westview. But we're getting ahead of ourselves in the episode. But Wanda decides to take a day for herself. So she gives the kids to Agnes. And Agnes is like, I bit a child once. And you know what I saw on Twitter? And I cannot get out of my freaking head now. Because here's the thing. Marvel Studios will do anything. They'll do anything. They've proven that. They killed half the universe and traumatized every single child in the audience in Avengers Infinity War when all those heroes, including Spider-Man, who they technically don't even have the full rights to. And I'm still surprised to this day that Sony let that happen. Yes, they killed half their universe.
Because Sony saw the script of 2 movies and saw that he came back in the end. So did they really kill him?
I know, but I was just surprised when Sony was literally about to just let them be like, yep. Because you do realize that children don't understand that even though Spider-Man died in that movie, he's going to come back in the next one.
I think me and you talked about that too. That was our biggest beef about Spider-Man and Black Panther fading away because they both had movies the next year, and it was like, you're not fooling nobody. Everybody, the trailer for their 2 movies were attached to this. We know they're still alive.
All right, but so we know Marvel will do anything, and I'll get even more onto this subject when we get to the end of this episode, because holy shit, I think Marvel is going to do something really screwed up. But, okay, so, what was I even talking about? Oh, yeah, so Agnes says she bit a kid once, and someone on Twitter put this in my head, and now I can't get it out. Agatha says she bit a kid. And she can turn herself, and she's a witch and everything. What if she's the spider that bit Peter Parker and turned him into Spider-Man? Someone on Twitter put that in my head, and I can't get it out of my head now. There's no way that's true. I really hope.
Yeah, that's not true. There's no way in hell that would be that universe's thing. I think we haven't really been given it, but I think what it was is Peter Parker went to his freshman year or final 8th grade of middle school, went to a field trip at probably one of Iron Man's, Stark's, laboratories. They were experimenting on radioactive spiders. One of them got loose, bit him on the hand. That's Spider-Man in the MCU. I think we all can kind of follow the breadcrumbs of that. It's not her. Because then you get the case of then it's just going to become a meme about it was, the Agatha all along. You're going to get that, the non-stop. Then like, was she responsible for the Fantastic Four? Is she responsible for mutants? Was she the one who made Captain America fall on the ice? Did she cause the gamma rays to turn him into Hulk? Was she the one who told Tony to go to Afghanistan while banging him or something like that? Like, you know what I mean, though?
All right. So Agnes babysits Tommy and Billy. Monica breaks through and gets into Westview. She confronts Wanda, and Wanda's just like, stop bringing the real world into my fake world. Wanda just like, bitch, leave. I mean, she literally just magics Monica together, and she's just like, I'm sick of your drones, I'm sick of your missiles, I'm sick of your freaking people impersonating my brother. And Monica's just like, wait, that wasn't us. The first two things, that was us, but the last one, you can't blame us for that. And we'll get into that when we get into the mid-credit scene.
And then I just love this. I was just loving it. She keeps going on. I'm not going back to the outside world. There is viruses. There are Trump supporters storming the Capitol. I'm not going back. I'm not going back.
Believe it or not, Wanda, this is actually better than the real world. All right. Sword is going to be their big whole their whole mission is finally revealed. Hayward is a complete tool who wanted to bring Vision back for no other reason than to turn him into exactly what Sword is meant to observe and respond to, a sentient weapon. So he wanted to bring Vision back online, and that's the only reason he cares about Westview, is because Vision's in there, and he wants to get Vision out so that he can make Vision his own soldier.
Because he already sees Vision as his property, yeah. Which I like. It adds context, because now it's no longer Wanda broke into the facility and took the body because she's nutso House of M Wanda. It's literally, you're gonna do what to my boyfriend? You know what I mean?
So, yeah, we get to that. Monica and Wanda have a bit of a conversation, and Wanda's starting to feel like maybe she might be the villain, maybe she might not be. Then Agnes comes along and says, you know what? Wanda's been through enough. Let me take her to my house. So Monica's like, Wanda, you have to bring the hex down. You have to get rid of this reality. And she's like, nope, not going to do it. So they go to Agnes's house. They get in there, and Wanda's like, where are my children? Aren't they supposed to be here? Oh, they're just playing in the basement, honey.
Which is the most creepiest thing for your neighbor to say. Oh, your kids are down in my basement. And obviously that's what they wanted.
So Wanda opens the door. She goes down. Tommy and Billy are not there. She finds a really weird ass doorway with a bunch of tree vines on it, and she's like, okay. She goes in, walks in, sees weird illuminations, and she sees a book with some very, not good symbols on it. And then all of a sudden you hear, Wanda, Wanda, Wanda. And you think, oh, now here's the thing. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, not intentionally, actually. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning to watch this episode. So it's about 5 a.m. when I get to this part. And so Agnes comes in and she's like, you think you were the only magical girl in town? The name's Agatha Harkness. Lovely to finally meet you, Agatha, all along. And
that song is going to be stuck in your head for all of eternity. That is the biggest. That is her biggest spell, is tricking everybody in the world in the most watched TV show to now be humming every day of their life. Na 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 na. I think what works is because they got. I don't know how they did it, but they got the rights to the Munsters theme song, and they changed the lyrics to being about her. And it's her singing it.
Yeah, so Agatha, so we get this montage of Agatha screwing shit up in Wanda's reality. So now we know that all the little mishaps, all the mistakes that have happened because of this have been because of Agatha and not because of, so Agatha is messing with this reality as Wanda's trying to build it. So that's going to lead into the next two episodes. That's going to lead into the final two episodes. Agatha Harkness has finally had her reveal. Literally everyone in the world saw this coming who's at least a Marvel fan. And really, honestly, anyone watching this show knew that something was up with Agnes.
My mom, like I said, she has never watched a Marvel movie longer than maybe 5-10 minutes actually paying attention. She'll watch sometimes if I'm or somebody in the house is like when we're holidays or whatever, and it's on one of the channels. She'll like watch, but it's really her being, on her phone looking up at the screen every few minutes. And even she's like, "Oh wow, oh, is she a witch? Like her first words that came out of my mom's mouth when she said, "Oh, I'm charmed to meet you," and stuff like. She goes, "Oh, is she a witch too?" Like they didn't hide it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we get the whole Agatha all along.
I got a question for you because there's this one really cool theory. Is the fact that you see when you see they do like that shot where like you see a little bit of her comic book outfit, the old kind of the old Wicked Witch kind of stuff, and then it like fades into that 50s clothes, and then it goes black and white. Did Wanda's whole thing was just I'm gonna make this town like her mind whammy is gonna be more of a Professor X, kind of not bad, but still morally gray, where it's like, I'm just gonna make them think that me and Vision have been their neighbors this whole time. And Agatha came in and did everything else and manipulated even worse. Because it kind of gives the impression that Wanda already made this bubble, and then like Agatha I sensed the disturbance in the magical force, and then she came there to fuck up with it more. And that she's the one who made it all black and white in the 50s, and it becoming color is literally Wanda coming to her senses.
I mean, what I took away from this is that Agatha has been the one, is that this is Wanda's reality, and Wanda is the only one who could take it down. Wanda built this from the ground up, but Agatha has been the source of all the mischief that's been going on and all the weird stuff that's been going on. So that's how I took it. But here, and also, this is a good opportunity. I mentioned this running gag last week of James telling jokes and me not understanding them. Okay, so it's literally like, okay, let's see. What time was it last night? It was 8:30 last night. I get a text from James. Hey, can you pick up the phone? Because I fucking called it. That was the exact text because I screenshotted it.
Which is a Dragon Ball Z abridged reference.
This was not planned. This was not scripted. I actually asked James verbatim, do you actually want me to pick up the phone? Because in fairness, James actually butt dialed me the day before. So I wasn't sure if he was actually trying to initiate a conversation. I wasn't sure if he was actually trying to get me on the phone or not. So yes, that another great example of James telling jokes and me not understanding them. But here's the thing that I took away from this whole scene, even after it, because I want to set the stage here. It's 5:00 in the morning. I'm half asleep watching this episode. The episode ends. I'm on a little bit of a high. Like, oh, they finally revealed Agatha. They finally revealed what she's been doing. All this stuff. I get back into bed, and I'm trying to go back to sleep because I have to be up in a few hours for work.
And you heard the theme song and couldn't fall back asleep.
Well, that, but also a thought came into my head. Where are Wanda's damn children? Because we never saw them. Because, and here's the thing. Now, here's the thing, all right? This goes back to the comics. Wanda and Agatha and Tommy and Billy, they all go back to the comics. They all go back to the limited series, the Vision and the Scarlet Witch. Everything dates back to comics. Everything, is drawn from there. In the comics, Tommy and Billy are born because they are part of, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, James. Correct the parts I inevitably get wrong. They are born as part of Mephisto's. They are born as part of the souls of Mephisto, and in order to bring Mephisto back, Agatha basically kills them.
It's actually some other villain. Mephisto's part of his soul are in her children because she used magic to will them into existence, which is, I guess we take it as like a deal with the devil kind of thing. That's what they were going with. So a little bit of Mephisto's soul was in the kids. So Agatha, where she appeared earlier as a witch who was kind of borderline shades of gray, like she appeared in Fantastic Four in the 70s. It was always like a shades of gray thing with her, or she would like watch the children of superheroes, and then like evil witchcraft shit would always happen, but the heroes never figured it out or thought that she was behind it or it was her son or whatever. And then that was the one that finally revealed, nope, yep, she's with Mephisto and like his soul. But she was doing it so a different, I can't remember the name of the character, but it was a different evil, like demonic Marvel figure, like Doctor Strangey, villain kind of thing, that she put the baby's soul in to either power or resurrect or something like that. And then Wanda, like she's been known to do even now in the MCU now, starts to have a breakdown about it. And then so Agatha's like, nope, snap of the finger. Wanda forgets everything. And then it's during House of M when she starts to create her perfect utopia, subconsciously, deep down in her mind, remembering the children, like recreate the birth. And then like the X-Men show up and Professor X are going, no, Wanda, they are fake. Put them back. No, you put those fake children back, Wanda. Now I'm using my mental, I'm talking like, Professor X now. Put the babies back. Put them back. They're not real. And then that causes her to be even worse with House of M. Is that literally she's first from disassembled. Magneto takes her to Genosa, and then like Professor X is there too. And then he comes there and like she recreates the birth, and he goes, Wanda, put those children back. They're not real. And then that causes her to freak out even more and create House of M. And then one of the ripple effects is that the kids from House of M being retconned and the kids back, they're alive. They become Wiccan and Speed in the Young Avengers. So the show is really condensing that into being just Agatha, for some reason, with her evil scheme, did something so Wanda will, for the children, have the babies, and then for whatever plan she has, it's probably going to tie into Doctor Strange 2, had the children. She manipulated Vision like I called it. I saw some people were saying, "Oh, look how Agnes is acting in the car. There's no way it is." I'm like, she's the only person who's walking and talking in an area that's supposedly, because Wanda's not controlling it right now, is stuck on a loop. She's clearly still something going on there. And it was, of course, in the Agatha all along, they show her like putting her makeup on, like she's like, "Oh, I'm about to go for my big acting scene here," when he comes up to the car. And so that's the way it is. I think what it is isn't that she killed the children. I think it is a take on the comic thing, and they're just going to streamline it. Where I know some people said about Mordo, because remember how he ends Doctor Strange 1 with him saying "No more sorcerers" or whatever. Like that could be taken as like a take on No More Mutants. It's not Mephisto and it's him that she's working with, and then that ties into Multiverse of Madness. I think it is Mephisto though. I think it is a case of like in the MCU version, we're just cutting out the middleman. It's not Mephisto's soul to power up somebody else. It's Mephisto has been trapped in hell in the MCU for so long, and now that Thanos is gone, she decided, oh, Thanos is gone, so I can bring back Mephisto now. And then so she saw what Wanda's, hacks in WandaVision. She's like, she found the perfect opportunity to exploit another magic person to unwittingly use her magic to help her, and that the children are like MCU Antichrist, that they are the reincarnations of Mephisto.
Yeah, so I mean, what I ultimately took away from this, and is just Marvel is literally. I mean, here's the thing. This is all just speculation right now. They could show up in the next episode, and the kids could be fine. But that was the thing I took away from the scene more than anything is Wanda went down there to find her children and never found them. And I honestly think I think Agatha either killed them or she just erased them entirely, which
the reason why I don't think that she killed them, but I think they are going to do the whole at the ending of it, once the hex comes down, Wanda's going to forget that she had the comic version, like either because of Agnes or because of herself or her psyche breaking down, she's going to forget that the kids existed. And then it's going to set up where Marvel retcon Wiccan and Speed as being those children was in a different Avengers event, which was Children Crusade, which was essentially a retcon of Disassemble and House of M, and was pretty much, I don't like Wanda being a villain. Bendis is off the book and halfway out the door going to DC. We're gonna retcon that, Wanda wasn't so bad. And look, Wiccan and Speed are now her kids. Look, he has speed powers, he has magic powers. They were her kids all along. they're Billy and Tommy. You know what I mean? From that old storyline. I think that's where they're going to go. Is that later on down the line in an Avengers movie, it's going to be something's going to happen, and that's going to bring Billy and Tommy back. But for the time being, it's stuck in they're stuck in Mephisto, or they're reincarnations of Mephisto, and they're part of him. You know what I mean?
So that was the big reveal of the episode. And then, of course, we got the mid-credit scene of Monica Rambeau snooping around Agatha's house.
There's a
And
little touch, though, in that scene. If you don't notice, he was in her house the whole time. When the kids were in the house, when Wanda went down in the basement, because when Monica Rambeau is running towards the house to snoop around, and then she goes over the cellar. If you notice, there's a shadowy figure in the window, and then when she goes to look in there, the figure disappears in a blink of an eye, and so that's him looking out the window, seeing her snooping, and then going, no.
Snooper's gonna snoop.
I mean, there's some little details that you can catch in this episode alone. Like, if you go back and you rewatch, every time Agnes shows up, she gives Wanda something. And there's one theory, like, it's like her giving, like, drugs to an addict to keep them underneath their control. Remember, she gives the pineapple in the dinner in the first episode. She gives Wanda, a drink from her flask in the second episode. She gives them the dog in the fourth episode. She gives and in this episode too, she, like, if you notice when she makes the tea in the house, she, like, sprinkles whatever the shit is to stir it, but it could be looked at as, a witch using her potion. When she sprays the lavender, on the kids, she does this kind of motion too. When she first introduces herself to Vision, she goes like charmed. So the theory is that too could be why Wanda was always like no and rewinding stuff. It's because she's being manipulated with Agatha's magic into being, no, don't stop it, continue it.
I mean, these last two episodes are going to have a lot of questions to answer. And so where we're at right now is the kids are missing.
Oh my God, I just thought of something. She gives Wanda the dinner. Mr. Hart chokes and he's never seen again. And remember, Mrs. Hart starts the whole stop it loop right there. Were they breaking the spell and Agnes caused him to choke on the food? Because it was her food, remember?
Well, yeah.
Oh my God, see how much it fits when you think about all this stuff?
Okay,
so them going stop it, like her telling Wanda, like, subconsciously, stop it. This other crazy bitch is in our ears. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. And her causing her husband to choke is like, you better shut the fuck up, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, was that it? Because remember, 2 episodes later, she scares her with the whole staring him down, going, no. Was not a no, or Wanda will do this to us? Or is it like, or do you not want what happened to her, to Mr. Hart, to happen to you?
All right. I mean,
was Herb about to say she's going to tell you that we're all, and then she stops him and says, stop it? Was he about to say we're all under this crazy bitch's spell? It's just so many crazy things when you think about it now, with like the little details. Like one I just blew John's mind from. He didn't know that in the comics, Egg of Harkness has a son named Nicholas Scratch. What is the name of her pet rabbit?
Senor Scratchy.
And in this episode, the mailman, who seems to also be kind of aware of this being, smoking mirrors bullshit, his like Amazon parody, which is called something like Pocus or Hocus or something like that.
It's Presto.
It's Presto. Its logo is a rabbit being pulled out of a hat.
So, yeah, I mean, just my mind is. That's the thing about this. My mind is just going with so many questions. I need so many answers.
And when he first appeared as a mailman was after she gave Senor Scratchy to Wanda.
It's these last 2 episodes are going to have a lot to explain, a lot of questions to answer, and every episode makes me want the next episode even more. So it's painful waiting for the next episode, but I'm enjoying the show.
And like somebody said, an internet reviewer I watch, John Campia, and he has said before, like as much as he loves that the fact that when you can go on Netflix, you can just a new show comes out, you really want to watch on Netflix, you can just binge it day one. All the episodes are right here. Even if it's a case of you cut cable and you can't watch, it's showing it aired originally on cable, the whole season just right there you go when it's uploaded to Netflix. You know what I mean? And as much as he loves that, this works better the way how Disney has been doing it. Kind of, I think Amazon Prime and Hulu maybe differs, but Disney is perfecting it because they have made television once again that water cooler on Monday. Hey, did you see what happened? It's not so much, hey, did you watch Game of Thrones? Well, I got to catch up on 50 episodes because I'm binging it all at once. It is literally, hey, did you see what happened, Friday? Oh my God, I can't believe it. You know what I mean? It's bringing back the whole water cooler Monday talking about a TV show.
All right. But I have nothing but positive things to say about the episode. James, I take it your review of the episode was positive as well.
My only negative is why they couldn't make her theme song a little bit less catchy. Because, oh my God, like literally the whole time that we're talking here, all I hear is the down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. Wow, wow, wow. That's all I'm hearing is the Munsters theme song with the Agatha. Oh, la, la. And the best part is that's her singing it. She's singing her own theme song. She pulled a Shawn Michaels, and wrestling fans will get that reference. She pulled a. If you notice, when the director is doing the Office final season, when they started having like the cameramen and the people who are filming the documentary talk like they're talking to the fourth wall, there's that male voice that goes, "Don't you have any more for what you did, Wanda?" And she goes, "Excuse me." And then when they reveal later on with the Agatha all along motion, she's the director. That was a trick that they did. That is her. That's Agatha's actress still talking. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. That is her saying that line. But they did a trick to make it, change the pitch of her voice to sound male.
It's just so many mind blowing things. It's a great show. If you're not watching it, you need to be watching it. I am personally the biggest thing I took away from this, and I haven't stopped thinking about this since yesterday, is where the frick are those children? Those children are gone. I'm sorry. They're gone.
I think we all can agree they're gone, but I'm going the more comic book route, and you're going Hansel and Gretel.
I'm going the whole Marvel's like, yeah, we killed half of our universe. Yeah, we killed Tony Stark. Yeah, we will do anything. We're not afraid of traumatizing you. So yeah, we're gonna do something that's messed up here.
Like I said, I think it's gonna be the comic book thing. I think she's gonna reveal that she used them in a sacrifice to resurrect Mephisto, and then they're gone now.
But James, you're saying that like it's not messed up.
Oh, I know what I just said. She committed a demonic sacrifice to the devil. But then again, this is the same guy who'll take offers for marriages too. So maybe it wasn't that bad.
I mean, I'm just saying the kids are gone, and it's really screwed up. And this is
oh my God. Oh my God, I just thought of something. What if this was all along like Marvel's take on One More Day, and then Mephisto's going to show up? I could give you the kids back if you give me your marriage division.
Oh my gosh. I don't even want to think about that. I really don't want to think about
what
that.
What if they pull One More Day? They might. Oh my God. Because remember, that's another thing about this episode is that I can't think of her name. Darcy and Vision are convinced that it's Wanda preventing him to come back when we know it's not true. Like, because she has that line to the kids, like, your father's just going to do whatever he wants. And I can't stop him. So it says right there, Wanda's not controlling what's going on towards the circus coming back into town. But then again, Agnes is the one who, in the car, told him to go to the edge. So I love that little detail that you don't even need to be told that she deliberately put him over there because he could just Avengers, oh, you're fucking around with my wife? You know what I mean? Like, and then it's over with. You know what I mean?
All
He
right.
needed he needed him. She needed him far away or over being dissected again in the real world. You know what I mean? And maybe his last thoughts alive again is that his wife is a psychotic bitch, and that is her way of fucking with him, and I love that. And the one great thing I also love is that little moment where he breaks the fourth wall on the fourth wall breaking nature of like a show like The Office and Parks and Recs in the middle, and I'm not in the middle, and like Modern
Modern
Family where
Family.
they do like the interview thing where both Parks and Recs and The Office have tell you from episode 1 they're filming a documentary. Modern Family, you're supposed to believe it's like a Kardashians kind of reality show, but they never outright say it. So I love that how he breaks that convention of them doing like the sit down interview thing, and he'd be like, "What the hell am I wearing this microphone for? What the fuck? Wait a second. I could just fly." And know what the best part of all this is? When I was watching with my friends on that group chat call we were doing, I literally while he's right before he does that whole scene, I'm like, and then like the marching band, the kids crossing, I'm like, he has flying powers. He used them last episode. Why does he just not fly? And then they cut to him being that thing like, I'm still trying to process everything. Like, why am I green and red? Was Ultron green and red? Wait, why am I wearing this microphone? Wait, what? Why can't I just fly? I'm done with this. And he flies away. I'm just like, it was literally 5 seconds after I said, why does he just fly? And then 5 seconds later, they're like, no, that's the point. This is the joke. You're supposed to get to that point. And you ask, why is he not flying? And then he realizes, like a dumbass, yeah, why am I not flying? Derp.
All right, but moving off of WandaVision talk into
There is just so much in one 30-minute show each week to talk about.
there really is. Moving off of WandaVision talk into a news story that came up. I literally found out about it on my break at work today, and apparently it's the top trending topic on Twitter right now because that's what I'm seeing. Jennifer Lawrence, known for being Jennifer Lawrence. If you don't know who Jennifer Lawrence is, then just seriously. Okay.
John, I don't know who she is. I completely blocked out those X-Men movies out of my mind. They never happened. I'm pulling my own WandaVision.
Okay, but what about the Hunger Games and whatever else she was in? Silver
I
Linings.
I never saw the Hunger Games. I thought that sounds really depressing and boring. Why would I want to go see a movie where it's 2 hours long of children murdering each other? That sounds completely boring and messed up. No. That was literally my thought when I heard about it. I'm like, what's the Hunger Games? Oh, it's based on a book where these kids like fight to the death for food in a post-apocalyptic future. I'm like, that sounds depressing and boring. Pass.
So Jennifer Lawrence, she is supposedly, according to the Daily Mail, which isn't that reliable of a source, I'm going to be honest with you, but it's absolutely exploded on the internet. Jennifer Lawrence has apparently been cast in Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four film. Supposedly she's going to be Sue Storm. Do we want Jennifer Lawrence back in a new role the same way? I mean, do we want Mystique to be Invisible Woman now?
She isn't the first Marvel actor from a non-MCU thing to cross over. J.K. Simmons is Jonah. We just got Quicksilver and Quicksilver.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not gonna.
I mean, hell, it would make most sense if it's a Fox actor. Because there's one casting choice I want to be a character in this movie, so I hope this isn't true. But it'd be hilarious if the Fantastic Four are all former Fox actors, as a joke at the fact how the previous two Human Torches later on went to be in MCU movies.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe giving Human Torches a second chance since 2011. I stole that line from the internet. I didn't come up with that.
There has got to be in like one of the upcoming Avengers movies where even Chris Evans, even if it's this old man Cap, it has to be Chris Evans. It has to be Michael B. Jordan and Ironmonger as
Killmonger.
I'm sorry, the names are too close together. As Killmonger somehow, and it should be them two in a scene with the new Human Torch where they're all like, you know what, Johnny, you're really handsome. I don't know what it is. So there's just something about you that's right. I know I was thinking the same thing too. There's something about him that's just, I feel like I relate to. Like in a previous life, we could hang out with Johnny. It's like what is it like? And they just start broing out, and then they don't realize it. That it's because they're all three Johnny Storm. Like if that doesn't happen, I'm jumping out a window.
All right. I mean, look, I'm not going to say I don't want Jennifer Lawrence in the movie because I'll take Jennifer Lawrence any day of the week because she's a good actress, and I love her work. So I enjoyed her in the X-Men movies. So I'll take Jennifer Lawrence, but I'll be honest with you, my heart is really with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt being Reed and Sue. And that also kind of ties into WandaVision talk because everyone's convinced that Reed Richards is the aerospace engineer that Monica Rambeau keeps mentioning, even though he never made an appearance in the.
Here's the one thing I also saw about that. To go back to WandaVision, that somebody said. Remember, they said the people who got blipped either didn't come back to work or whatever, which you now get a sense of is because the guy's an asshole and they use that as an excuse as not to come back to Sword. And then, like, some people say, well, what if it's a case of the astronauts they're referring to are Reed, Sue, Ben, and Johnny? And that the blip plus that, did something to their cosmic rays, and the same thing happened to Monica, and that explains her powers. It's not the WandaVision thing. They just made her powers awaken. It's actually that she has cosmic rays, cosmic powers.
I mean, that'd be an interesting theory. I'm personally more attached to the theory of it's. I mean, I'm pretty convinced
that the people from Westview are the first mutants. Like that, I know that's one of the theories going around.
That's the theory I'm attached to, honestly, is that Wanda is instead of no more mutants, Wanda creates the mutants. But look,
But anyways, off the WandaVision talk. My opinion about her is like I said, she always came off as boring to me, but that's because I think every movie she's in is boring. Like I heard about Hunger Games, I'm like, Pat, that sounds boring. I saw her X-Men movies as Mystique, she kind of comes off as boring in those movies. Ironically enough, the best thing about those movies is Quicksilver, but we're staying off the WandaVision talk. And and I, like you said, I wish it was Belle, with John Krasinski, because I'm an Office fan. Like I love The Office, and Jim is my favorite character. Like and you want to know how much of The Office is a big thing? One of my friends from work, Abby, me and her like joke around. We're friends, whatever. We make jokes about each other and other in the back. Then people joke, oh, they're Jim and Pam. Like that's how much The Office has entered the zeitgeist. So I've always liked Jim as a character. So I've always just the whole thought of like, man, once he started kind of pitching for himself on his YouTube, what podcast he had, I'm like, I really want to see him now as Reed because I can't see, and I like him as an actor. Jim's my favorite character from The Office. I'm like, I want to see him as Reed.
I can't see anyone else as the MCU Reed Richards other than John Krasinski, and he's
the only one to pull it off. And no disrespect to the other two guys that played them in Fan Four Stick, and then the guy who was also in Titanic from the first movie. I can't think of his name right now. I got the DVDs right here. What the hell am I doing? I can literally source read them. Fan Four Stick doesn't even got the actors in the credits. It just says Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic.
He's played by Miles Teller in Fan Four Stick, and he's played by a guy whose name I cannot pronounce.
It's Ian Gryffindor. I'm sorry I'm mispronouncing your name, but then, dude, it's really hilarious too because when I was a kid and I saw Titanic, because I'm a history buff, so I wanted to see Titanic. Well, you don't think nothing about the one, boat guy, lifeguard who works for the sailor. You don't think nothing of him, the guy who tells him to turn around and save the people because the ship sunk. You don't think nothing of it, but then years later, when I rewatched the movie with my girlfriend at the time in high school, and we were rewatching Titanic, and it was like 6 months after Fantastic Four came out, I'm like, it's Reed Richards! Reed Richards saved the Titanic!
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give us Jennifer Lawrence, I'm okay with it, but my heart is really set on John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
The only reason why people think it's her is she's a blonde. Let's call it there. If any blonde chick gets cast from here into eternity as an unnamed actress in a Marvel movie until Fantastic Four announces their cast, it's going to be Sousa Blonde.
I mean,
And that's the whole thing. Like I said, I hope it's a case of that she just cast as somebody else in another movie. Because I really hope, that's the Fantastic Four thing. But then like you start to then also think, well, who could be Johnny and who could be Thing? And I'm like, it's so far with almost every actor except for the Mandarin, they have hit everybody out of the park. So whoever they get is probably going to be better than what we all think fan casting. But then John Krasinski, come on, make it. Everybody wants to see him as Reed. He can pull it off. Because especially if you go back to those old Fantastic Four issues in the 60s, there's moments where Reed can be witty. There wasn't a lot of it, but there was moments where like he could banter and quip too during a fight. Because of course Stan Lee's writing him.
all right. But moving on to a final topic for this evening, we have the comics that we're reading and whether or not you should be reading them as well. What we're going to do, and what James and I have sort of planned out for this show, is that we're going to review. We're not going to do like week to week comic reviews like we're doing with WandaVision, and like we're going to be doing with the subsequent Disney Plus shows. We're going to save all the comics of 1 month for one show. So all the comics that come out in March, we're going to review them the first weekend of April, and so on and so forth. Because one, it's just James and I aren't always reading the same titles, so keeping track of what comes out week per week can get a little exhausting, and plus, especially if there's stuff that happens and schedules just don't meet up and we can't do a show 1 week, then we have things backlogged and all that stuff. So we're just going to put one show a month for comics, and then the rest of the shows are just going to be, random Marvel topics, and of course Disney Plus reviews and news and stuff like that. But first off, James, I think we'll just list off the titles that we are reading. We're both reading Amazing Spider-Man, but we talked about that last week, so we're going to skip over that one for today.
I'm literally pulling up my Comixology playlist.
I use the Marvel Comics app on my iPad, so I have all the series here that I'm reading right now. Right now, I've got Jason Aaron's Avengers, Kelly Thompson's Captain Marvel, Saladin Ahmed Magnificent Ms. Marvel, which is about to end, unfortunately. I'm really sad about that. Ta-Nehisi Coates on Captain America, Christopher Cantwell, Iron Man, Saladin Ahmed again on Miles Morales Spider-Man, and Donny Cates on Thor. James, what about you?
I'll just get out of the way the obvious ones. Amazing Spider-Man, because I'm going for alphabetical order. Avengers, but I might drop that one again. That book is keep on being off and on with me. Black Cat, which you can see starting next week, my reviews for on the crawl space. Captain Marvel, Captain America, Daredevil, Fantastic Four. Speaking of Fantastic Four, probably because the issues coming up, they already got it on here. Nonstop Spider-Man. For ongoings, I'm reading. It's funny because it still shows Gwen Stacy, which turned into a one shot and not on purpose. These aren't Marvel books, but fuck it. Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers. Miles Morales, which again you can check out my first review of in the crawl space right now. And that's about it. Oh, and Iron Man. And yeah, and Venom.
All right. We'll start with a book that both of us are reading. Avengers. My opinion on this book so far, written by Jason Aaron for pretty much every issue of the run. I don't think there are any exceptions or any fill-in issues. Jason Aaron, he started with a really strong Avengers run for like his first 20 issues or so, and then it really became a hit or miss book with me. I mean,
It was hit or miss from day one. Because remember, I was telling you like when the first issue came out, like I'm skimming through the BC Avengers shit and just reading the stuff about it. But the problem with it is that, like I said, he was like in the actual Avengers stuff. He's right. Oh, here's a classic Avengers moment. Oh, look, they're in a bar and they're almost acting like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and blah, blah, blah from the movie cast. It's, in the bar all hanging out with the lines they're saying, like, 4 sounds like it's MCU 4 and stuff like that. And then it's like, oh, here's back to the BC Avengers. Here's the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, giving a T-Rex Hulk powers. And it's like, here's all the stuff about, the Phoenix Force. And it's like, I don't care. You know what I mean?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, the BC Avengers stuff, it it didn't intrigue me at all from the start. And to be honest, it's not my favorite part of the book. It's just it's part of the book where I kind of go, I'm really just going with it, honestly. I'm just like, yep, okay, you're bringing in the BC Avengers, you're setting up this whole team, and you're bringing in all these characters. But then Jason Aaron does what he just can't stop doing, which is messing with people's origins. And I freaking hate when creators do that. Not just Jason Aaron. I don't like it when Dan Slott does it. I don't like it when...
Oh, the Dan Slott ones are dumb because it's always like him just making like really slim, like, hey, I read the first issue. Yeah, so did I, Dan. like remember the big example is when the Fantastic Four fought Space North Korea. I remember me and you joking about that before, where like the whole issue is he's like, oh, we're gonna do something really cool and epic. We're gonna take a ride on the spaceship we flew in issue 1, and then that's where they retcon their origin story, and it's like, and then the kids are like, Dad, we've been to space 100 times. Yeah, but not from the ship from issue 1. And it's like, Dan, we get it. It's the ship from issue 1. Nobody gives a fuck. There's a reason why it hasn't been seen since issue 1. Nobody gives a shit. And then that's when they retconned that Space North Korea gave them their powers because, cosmic rays don't really affect you like they did. Well, also being bit by a radioactive spider doesn't give you powers, Dan.
I mean, I don't like it when Dan Slott does it with Spider-Man or Fantastic Four. I don't like it when Margaret Stohl did it with Captain Marvel and saying that she was half Kree the whole time. I don't like...
Bringing it back up to Dan Slott. He did a Spider-Man one on top of a JMS one. Because you had the Ezekiel Moreland, Spider God stuff. Which retcon, the spider, was it a radioactive spider or was it the chicken and the egg, or as Ezekiel put it? And then on top of that, Dan Slott added Silk to the origin during the tie-in with, Original Sin. Where it was like Ezekiel also took her, who also got bit by the spider, and he had her in that room at first. Peter just never fucking realized that she was in the room before. And it was... So that's how much Dan likes to mess with origins that he did one on top. It was like a layer. He did a retcon of a JMS retcon.
And so I don't like it when Jason Aaron does it here in Avengers and in the most recent issue of Avengers. Oh, for Thor's history, his mother has been Gaia or however you pronounce her name. His mother is, not Frigga from the movies. His mother is Gaia in the comics. But no, actually, Thor's mother is the original Phoenix Force, is the original Phoenix host or whatever. And I'm like, really? I mean, because I'll be honest with you, I'm hit and miss on Jason Aaron's Thor run as well, because I really, really, really didn't like the whole unworthy Thor thing because it was complete BS.
Oh,
I like Jane
Foster. Yeah.
I like Jane Foster as Thor. That was a really good series, and she was a really great character as Thor. I enjoyed that. I just hated what he did with Thor Odinson because it was stupid.
It made no sense. If you're going to make him unworthy, have it be something like, remember during Original Sin with the Watcher, like that's where they bring it up. It should have been like something got to the point where he like snapped Nick Fury's neck. Like he's the one who kills Nick Fury. And that made him unworthy that he killed a man. No, it's that Nick Fury whispers in his ear, what if you take a poop in the morning and then the hammer decides that makes you unworthy? Oh my God. It's literally that. It's literally, hey, I know what your sin is. Your sin is you're not worthy all the time. There are some times where you take a shit like all of us. Oh my god, you're right. I'm not worthy. And it's like a mental block. Is that what it was?
I mean, what Nick Fury actually uh, whispered in Thor's ear in that issue was supposedly that Gore was right, and all of your high and mighty stuff about gods, it's all fake and everything. And it's like Thor has had doubts about himself before and has been able to pick up the hammer. Jason Aaron literally 2 years later wrote a mini series called The Unworthy Thor, where he and Jane Foster, where he's sitting there and Jane Foster is like, "What are you doing?" And he's just staring at Mjolnir on a table, and he's like, "What if I'm not worthy? Thor, you were just worthy yesterday." "Yeah, that was yesterday. What if I'm not worthy now?" And it's like, Jason Aaron, you are literally destroying your own premise. And it's just like, I don't like it when they mess with the origins like that. So
But the thing is, I don't think that was his fault. I think that was because that was original. Was that during Hickman's Avengers run, Original Sin, or was that still Bendis?
no, that was Hickman's Avengers run, but
I
I thought Original Sin was Jason Aaron's idea.
Oh, it might have been. Because if it is, then it was. It might have been like the editorial mandates coming down on him. But if it was his idea, then that obviously wasn't the case.
I mean, Jason Aaron's Avengers, it's been very hit or miss for me. I mean, I like the first arc. I like the vampires arc. I like the Starbrand Reborn arc. And there have been a lot of good moments in the Jason Aaron run. But there have also been a lot of there have been a lot of issues where it's just like I don't care, which is like with the recent Age of Khonshu arc was terrible. That was horrible.
You know what I think it is? I think it's that he's with the whole BC Avengers, he's going more into that ancient mystic thing. And it's like I want to read an Avengers books. I just want, a world-ending event and the Avengers have to go punch some aliens or robots or whatever the fuck or demons in hell. You know what I mean? Though I want to think Avengers. I want to like the movies. I want a fun action all-star team superhero team up. I don't want to be like here's an actual small snippet of that, and maybe a little bit of modern political tensions between modern political stuff with Wakanda now, and then the rest of the book is all here's a saber-tooth tiger getting witch powers or something. It's like I don't care. Getting the Star Brand. I'm like I don't care. That's not. That is stuff that I would like to see if I was reading your 4 run, not your Avengers run.
All right, but moving off of Avengers, onto another a little slightly controversial title with us, Iron Man, written by Christopher Cantwell. Here's the thing: I honestly enjoy this run. I really do. Up until the most recent issue, where Tony because Christopher Cantwell is really breaking down the character of Tony Stark and making him very introspective and trying to just get he's trying to put the man back in Iron Man and everything. And I like that.
It's pretty obvious that his whole point of view with his run was to not be Dan. Whatever Dan did, I'm doing the opposite. Good or bad, whatever Dan did, I'm doing the opposite.
And I really like what Christopher Cantwell is doing with the character. It's probably some of the best stuff that's been done since the Matt Fraction run. But there's also just these really weird elements to it. Like, why is Hellcat here? Of all people, why are you teaming up with Hellcat?
Because she's a redhead. It's the same reason why Bendis had MJ in the book. It's the same reason why every other writer has Pepper Potts in the book. Tony needs a Google eye and a blonde and a redhead.
And then you have the. I mean, I like Korvac. I like what they're doing with Korvac. But then you have the weird, like not even Z event because he won't even call them Avengers. He's like, no, the Avengers will bring too much attention to this. I have to call these literally like not even Z-list heroes. Well, okay, Misty Knight's pretty good, But
Oh, Ben Riley, the guy almost single-handedly ruined Spider-Man.
I'm going to call Ben Riley and Frogman and Gargoyle and all of them to go up against the guy who killed the Avengers and then brought them back. Like, that's the thing. What? What? I'm just like,
What
you.
what what
You
what
lost
if
me.
better? What if better? Like he's the guy who killed people and brought them back. Since Ben's on the team, it should be characters who died before and were and like the whole thing. There's certain characters who are like Uncle Ben, like Batman's parents, like Jor-El and Martin Al Kent, Laura Al Kent, the Kryptonians. They're characters who obviously are better dead than they were alive in fiction. Gwen is another case of it. Gwen's better dead than she ever was alive because what it meant to the mythos and the pathos for Spider-Man. If they had them being characters who either nobody cares about, who died before and been retconned back alive, and nobody cares about, and you could put Ben in there, I would understand it because it's like, oh, it's that way. If they die, it's like, well, at least Ben's real death wasn't in Iron Man. Ben's real death was in the Revelations, the final part of the Clone Saga. That is how fans will see it. They won't see that he died off in an Iron Man book. They'll see he died in Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Issue 75. In the final issue of the Clone Saga. The problem is it's the fact that Tony's not saying that. He's not, no, he's not gonna say. But it should have been like these are characters who have died before, who are willing to die again, but they're also not a Captain America who, if we lose them, America will crumble or something like that. And then they understand that. No, he's literally going, "You're the Z-list team. You're Spider-Man's clone. Hey, remember the Clone Saga? Fuck you, Ben. You're only here to make quips because I missed that from the New Avengers Day, where Peter Parker was my bitch and quipped a lot."
But
He's
it's
to take a turn from some other people I know. Ben is there to be Iron Man Jr.
And the thing is, it's like you're going up against Korvac, and you actively acknowledge this, and I don't I understand Tony's logic, but I also don't understand Tony's logic because it's just like,
I get like he said, I get Korvac. He has the whole Messiah complex going on. He thinks he is. It's a cult leader thing. He thinks that he's the second coming. He is Helter Skelter. He is Charles Manson. He thinks he's the second coming. I get that. And but I think it's the whole fact that he has a really depressing, dark cult, storyline. And then yet Tony is all like in the most recent issue, he's like, they had to give me morphine and painkillers because, I have a broken neck. But I'm pissed off at them for doing it because I'm an alcoholic. But you weren't addicted to drugs, Tony.
I don't know. I mean, Tony Stark, here's the thing that people should know about me that I really didn't get to express that much last week because we didn't talk about Iron Man that much. Tony Stark as a character is one of my absolute favorite Marvel characters across any media, across anything. And I relate to the character in very, very personal ways. So the Iron Man book is actually very close to my heart. So when I see an Iron Man book that's bad, like Tony Stark Iron Man by Dan Slott, I just sort of erase that from existence.
Oh,
And
this run kind of did. Even though it kind of like, okay, obviously Tony came back from the dead again, at the end of, Iron Man 2020. So it kind of ties into that because it's obviously it's him having PTSD, like you said, Iron Man 3 kind of from the fact that, oh my God, I was dead and I'm alive again, kind of, sort of, maybe. But my problem with this run so far is that it like I said, it had the feeling of we're going back to classic Iron Man, the pre Marvel Cinematic Universe Robert Downey Jr. take. He's got a suit that looks like the old Shellhead suit. It's the 80s and 90s logo that was in the animated series. It's gonna have Hellcat as a character in it. Patsy Walker. You remember her from those 50s teen love romance comics. It's gonna be awesome. The only problem is, and you're reminded by issue 3 why there's a reason why the movies went with the Robert Downey Jr. pop culture, take. Asshole Tony Stark. It's just, because the Iron Man from Joe Quesada's run from the 2000 and the Chris Buzak run is kind of boring at times.
I mean, I don't think Tony Stark's a boring character. I haven't read every Iron Man comic ever published, but I've read a lot of them. So, I mean, I really like Tony as a character, and like I said, I relate to him.
I like Tony. like I said, I like Tony. Like Tony Stark is my second favorite Marvel character, and I like him for the same reason I like Peter Parker. Where Peter Parker is the guy you could be, Tony Stark's the guy who you're envious of and wish you could be.
For me, it's actually kind of flipped because I'm not a millionaire, but I'm definitely an asshole. But
I thought you were totally gonna have like a come to Jesus moment. You were like, and I'm definitely an alcoholic. I don't drink, but somehow I know deep down if I did, I would totally be an alcoholic.
that's actually true. That's the reason I don't drink. Is because I'm afraid I'd be an alcoholic.
But the hilarious thing is, I had a friend in high school, Zach, that felt the whole time, well, constant. I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna drink because I have a bad temper when it comes to losing video games as it is. Can you imagine me and my temper if I'm a drunk? No, I'm not going to do that. And then when he turned 21, we all went to a club in Milwaukee, and then he found out, nope, I'm the opposite. I'm the most giggling, silly son of a bitch you'll ever meet when I'm drunk.
All right, but I mean, look, Christopher Cantwell's Iron Man run, I think you should be reading it. It has its good moments, and it has its really good moments, but it also just does some really weird stuff. And in the
Ben Reilly's in the book. That's a weird thing. There's an Iron Man book in 2021 where Ben fucking Reilly is a supporting cast member in it.
It's a good run once you get past the really weird stuff that they put in it.
Frogman is in it. And somehow Ben Reilly being in a book post-Clone Saga that's not Spider-Man related is not the weirdest thing. Frogman being in it.
All right. But the last title that James and I are both reading, Captain Marvel, written by Kelly Thompson. Kelly Thompson's knocking it out of the park on this book. This is a Captain Marvel book that really I've been wanting for a long time. Say what you will, but I mean, the Kelly Sue DeConnick run is really good. The biggest drawback for me was a lot of it was the artwork, because the artwork was hideous to me. I don't remember the artist's name who worked on that book because it's been a while since I've read it.
I didn't even read that run.
But the Kelly Sue DeConnick run on Captain Marvel is pretty good. Margaret Stoll came in, and I wasn't totally fond of everything she did with the character. But Kelly Thompson's just knocking it out of the park. Fun stories, fun supporting cast. Carol is a complex hero who you care about. You want to see her succeed, and it's spotlighting all the best attributes of her personality. So if you're not reading Captain Marvel, I would definitely recommend picking it up. I haven't read the most recent arc yet. I recently just caught up with the Empire tie-in arc with her sister L'Oreal, which I thought was hilarious. So just if you're a Captain Marvel fan, if you like the Brie Larson movie, I think you'll like this book. If you like Carol Danvers at all, I think you'll like this book. I think that Kelly Thompson is absolutely knocking it out of the park.
What I think is so great is that it's a book that's just like, you know what we haven't done in a while in Marvel? Just, with one of our A-list Avengers characters, instead of us doing these like dramas where there's every once in a while a superhero fight breaks loose, let's just have one of those old school like 70s era, 80s era, just fun action sci-fi superhero book. We'll have the drama in there because the Marvel's the world. You look inside across your window. It has those elements of it that carry, but it still doesn't forget that, hey, we're comic book. Let's have fun with a character who's called Captain Marvel. Let's just have a blast with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, James, I don't know if you have anything additional to add, but
the artwork is really good.
Yes, the artwork.
Like, I'm in love with the artwork.
Yeah, so definitely this is a book that we both recommend you pick up. Captain Marvel by Kelly Thompson is definitely a must-read right now. Now we're going to kind of go off into a little bit more of what books that we're individually reading. Because I don't think we're... James, you said you're reading Captain America by Ta-Nehisi Coates, right?
Yeah, but it's one of those books that are on my borderline I might drop.
Okay, that's the opposite of me because I'm like, oh, this is one of the best books that's coming out of Marvel right now. Because if you don't know who Ta-Nehisi Coates is, he is an absolutely incredibly intelligent individual. He is written for publications such as The Atlantic. He's written political um, pieces. He's written cultural pieces. He's done an ins. What are you doing, Agatha all along?
I'm sorry, a friend posted that photo to me, and I just had to share it.
All right. But yes, Ta-Nehisi Coates, he is an absolutely exemplary individual. Um, and so when I heard that he was coming on to Black Panther, I was like, man, Black Panther's about to get the best run it's ever had. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't really read much of his Black Panther run because I wasn't really that big of a character before I started. I wasn't really that big of a fan of the character really up until the movie. Um, but I've recently read some of it and I've enjoyed it. But as a pretty much years long fan of Captain America, I absolutely love his run on Captain America. He was born to write Captain America. He really plays up the idea of Cap as a symbol. What does he mean? What does the symbol mean? How does this affect who Steve Rogers is as a person? Who is Steve Rogers as a person? What is his relationship with a post-Hydra America? What is his relationship, with all these other supporting characters? And the supporting characters who are actually fleshed out and actually interesting people in their own right as well. So if you're not picking up Captain America, I definitely think you should. It's an absolutely fantastic book written by a fantastic writer. Um, and it's one of my favorite books coming out of Marvel right now. It's probably my second favorite, honestly. Amazing Spider-Man is my favorite. Captain America is probably my second favorite. Um, but another book that I'm reading that James really isn't reading um, is Magnificent Ms. Marvel by Saladin Ahmed. I'll admit to you, I wasn't that much of a Ms. Marvel fan until the Marvel's Avengers game that came out a few months ago. That apparently I'm the only one on Earth who actually liked that game. Um, but yeah, I fell in love with the character of Kamala through that video game. I thought she was an absolutely brilliant character in the story of that game, and I decided to literally pick up her entire solo run of comics from issue 1 all the way up to the present day. I read the whole run. It is probably one of the best runs, not just of like Ms. Marvel run. It's not just the best Ms. Marvel run of recent memory. It's probably one of the best Marvel Comics runs of at least modern times. The Kamala Khan G Willow Wilson run. If you have not read the original Ms. Marvel runs by G Willow Wilson, that just say that name 3 times fast. Um, she's an absolutely brilliant writer, and she gave one of the best Marvel runs in recent history with her Ms. Marvel run. She she took supporting characters in issue 1. I mean, an example of this, and tying back into a little bit of a piece of news that came out this week. Um, Zoe Zimmer, the character of Zoe Zimmer, has been cast for the Ms. Marvel Disney Plus show. Zoe, in the first issue of Ms. Marvel, is a completely different person by the finale issue of G. Willow Wilson's Ms. Marvel run. And it is an absolutely incredible arc that feels earned. It doesn't feel fabricated or forced in any way. It's organic, and and you can say that about pretty much all the characters in the book. Is that when Kamala has conflicts with her friends, they're actually organic. You understand both points of view, and really, it's just I can't say enough good things about it. If you've not read G Willow Wilson's Ms. Marvel run, go read it because you are just missing out if you have not read that book. It is absolutely insanely good. and that probably sounds like me just being a Kamala fanboy. Honestly, I don't really think it is. I think it's one of the best written books in modern Marvel history. I honestly do think that. And Saladin Ahmed, he's taking everything we loved about Kamala and he's basically continuing it. I mean, I'll admit his stories are not quite as fun or quite as in-depth and interesting as G. Willow Wilson's run, but it's a fun book. If you're not reading it, you should definitely catch up on it. Um, I'm sad that Kamala's solo title is going to be ending in the next couple of months. I'm really sad about that. I'm I'm very confident that once the Disney Plus show comes out towards the latter half of this year, that she will get a new ongoing series. But it is sad to me just to have even a few months without Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel. But yeah, that is a book that if you are not reading Ms. Marvel, you definitely should be, and you will hear a lot more about Ms. Marvel from me on this show in future episodes because
Oh yeah,
she has.
oh yeah. There's no question that she's gonna get a book, another volume by the time her show starts. Like it's Marvel.
You will hear a lot more about Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel from me on this show because she has become one of my favorite Marvel characters, and that is due to the incredible writing from G. Willow Wilson and everyone who's worked with her on that book. Sana Amanat, I apologize if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. She was the main editor behind Kamala when she was first created. Um, all the people who've been involved with Ms. Marvel, you created an absolutely brilliant series and a brilliant character. But the last title that I'm reading that James isn't is Donny Cates' Thor, and this is another book, kind of like Captain Marvel in a sense, where it's just having a crap ton of fun with the character. But not only is it having a crap ton of fun with the character, it's also being like, yep, this is Thor. He's badass, and don't you forget it. Yep, this is Thor. He's gonna become a herald of Galactus, but he ain't Galactus's bitch. Galactus is his bitch. And if Galactus does something that Thor doesn't like, boom, dead. And I love that. And then, of course, we've gotten the recent Donald Blake arc, which has gotten a little bit, it's gone a little bit surreal. But of course, it's a Thor book, so having it being a little bit weird and a little bit surreal is kind of, it kind of fits. Um, but the recent Donald Blake arc has been really good. There was a really good just 2-part arc in there with Thor and Iron Man kind of fighting it out in Oklahoma because obviously there's problems with Mjolnir now. Whereas Thor is finding it harder to pick up Mjolnir, everyone else is finding it easier. So there's that interesting development that Donny Cates is building up throughout his run. The artwork by Nick Klein fits the story. It really melds in with the tone of the story, and overall, it's just pretty good to look at. So if you're not reading Donny Cates' Thor, I definitely highly recommend it. And the last book that James and I are both reading, this I'm kind of circling back to this because I forgot about this one. Miles Morales' Spider-Man, written by Saladin Ahmed. This is one of my books where I'm like, I'm enjoying it, but if I miss an issue, I'm not really too sad about it. I like Miles as a character. I think he had a great run under Brian Bendis. But the thing about it is, there's not Saladin Ahmed isn't really doing anything new or groundbreaking with the character. It's kind of just it's the fun Miles Morales Spider-Man book. I'm not saying it's a bad book. I'm saying it's a perfectly fun book. It's an enjoyable read, but it's one of those books where it's like, okay, you come back to it every month and you're like, what happened
It's like
last issue?
it plays it safe. It's having fun with being the teenage Spider-Man book.
Yeah, I mean, James, I mean, what is your take on Miles Morales Spider-Man?
For my in-depth take, go check my article up on the SpiderManCrawlspace.com right now. Cheap plug out of the way. Yeah, it's a good book so far. Like you said, it's hit or miss. I think it's trying to be just a fun teenage Spider-Man book. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're at the teen drama, like in the recent issue with Gonki. Is he going to be with Miles' ex? Is Miles going to hook up with, what's her name? The bird chick. I can't think of her name right now. I'm bad with names.
Oh man, I'm blanking on her name as well. No, Starling.
Starling. You got the stuff with Starling. You got the stuff with his uncle. One really cool thing is when his dad goes, "Yeah, I'm finally changed my name to Morales because that's just too confusing." I'm like, "Yeah, because there's totally not an animated movie and a video game and upcoming MCU probably appearances where your last name's gonna be Davis, Jefferson Davis still." But okay, and yeah, so like that, I found it funny. He's like, "I finally changed my name," and it's like, was that an editorial mandate? Which doesn't need to be there because every multimedia thing has to be Jefferson Davis, anyways. And then, yeah, so you got that, and I do also like the moment where like he tells Miles, yeah, we're gonna have to have a funeral for your uncle because he's been like really dead for a while, and then Miles been like, Dad, we're in a comic book universe. He's gonna be back alive next Tuesday. He doesn't say it sarcastically. It's more angsty. Like, no, I don't believe he's dead. My favorite uncle. There's no way he's dead. You know what I mean? Like they played off more of that, but it's pretty much the inside wink. It's a comic book. He's never gonna. He's not. That doesn't mean dead no more in Marvel since the '70s. Since they call Gwen dead, no longer means dead. uh, yeah, but like I'm enjoying it. But like you said though, there's moments of it too where like I forget about what's going on. Like I had to like think, okay, I remember the two recent issues because like I said, I'm starting to write for the crawl space, so you're paying attention a little bit more panel by panel, the details because I'm actively reviewing it. But before that, it's like the arc before I had to be like when he says, "Oh, we got to do a memorial service for your uncle." I'm like, "He's dead," and that was a big part of the ultimatum arc, and I'm like, "He's dead." I forgot he was dead. And then I forgot about the whole ultimatum shit, and I was like, "Oh yeah, they did that where like they teased the Ultimate Universe coming back, and then they were like, no." It's like I'm not saying Miles should go back to the Ultimate Universe, but I am saying that it would be kind of cool to still have the Ultimate Universe, be a thing for people who like me who got in the comics thinks the Ultimate.
All right, James, but what what comics are you reading that I'm not reading, and do you think any viewers or listeners of this show should be reading them?
Oh god, I gotta pull them up again because, like I said, I'm the most forgetful son of a bitch ever. Venom, which also kind of slash goes into King is Black, the current Marvel event. I like reading it because I like Eddie Brock. I've been a Venom fan, obviously being a '90s kid, growing up. That image is still in your head of like the Spider-Man tug of war from the animated series, which is actually a cover for the comic. The first back issue I ever got was that one just for that cover alone from the cartoon. Uh, I think Venom. I've always been a big Venom fan just because of that, and like the older Michelinie stuff, where like he was the evil Spider-Man, but they did a cool thing where it's the revenge, the evil protector stuff. When you get past that, Eddie and Venom kind of it dies down, and it's not you didn't point even to Matt Gargan for a while. But for this Venom arc though, I like it. There's like you said, there's a few retcons that are dumb, like revealing that the cancer that Eddie had, that's the reason why he couldn't be Venom and why it ended up on Matt Gargan to begin with, and why he was anti-Venom all along was not real, and the symbiote made him think he had cancer, which is dumb because we explained in one of the Carnage miniseries before, and then that the Carnage symbiote also gave Cletus cancer. So it's been established that if you're prolonged to a symbiote, which is a parasite, it will give you a cancer. But no, we're going to retcon that. And then they introduce Eddie's son, which the way they explain it is the most hilarious thing ever because we all know about Eddie's ex-wife. She was She-Venom. Her divorcing him is a big part of the origin, which causes him to, become Venom, all that stuff. Because she leaves him with the Sinister stuff. I believe that's how it is. She and Eddie had a kid. And the symbiote was jealous that Eddie had a kid. So the symbiote made Eddie all these years not think he had a kid. And again, when you think about the jealous ex-girlfriend thing that the symbiote was, even going back to Peter Parker, that fits. Like, I don't want you to think about your real family. I'm your family now. That totally fits with the symbiote. But yeah, so it's a Venom. It's dark. But it does have some cool moments when Peter shows up. It's always great they have Peter and Eddie, and wow, you're innocent. But they have a different way of taking it now because now it literally is the place like him being like, Peter, you are a dick. Admit it. We're not comics code no more. You could be an asshole at times. They're all fucking assholes. And he's like, yeah, but you're also a fucking asshole. I mean, you fucking ate people brains for a living instead of they were not innocent. I mean, you're a fucking asshole too. I just love that. It's how they're doing it. And there's some stuff they're doing like with Flash, kind of ish in it because they're involving the whole. Obviously, with Knoll, they're involving all the symbiote lore and history and his run. It's really good. Like the Eddie stuff, I like. It's all the Knoll stuff, Knoll or no, whatever the fuck you pronounce his name as that gets mirrored down in it with coats that is just keeps it down. If it was just a focus on a straight up Lethal Protector Venom Eddie book, I think it'd be really good. It's when you add all the goddamn Knoll stuff. Like if I have to see one more goddamn symbiote with like the squiggly line on their forehead after King in Black, I'm gonna freak because I just liked it better when a simpler time where symbiotes were just symbiotes.
All right, James, but give us another title. I think one of the ones that you mentioned was Daredevil.
Oh yeah, Daredevil. I gotta talk about Daredevil. Yeah, really fun. Think about any classic Daredevil run. Your Bendis's. Well, not really the Brubaker, but oh yeah, Brubaker. I'll talk about Mark Waid. But Brubaker, your Bendis's, your Frank Miller. When you think your classic kind of noir, gritty DC Marvel's Batman kind of book, it is that. Like
Hello.
hello.
Yes. We just lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. Back on to what I was saying though. One of the best things, about the Daredevil run is it's what you expect in any Daredevil run. That it's that noir, gritty, mad, like Peter Parker, but even worse. that Matt Slice bid. It's like in one of the first issues, he like bangs a chick, and then he's all like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of my house." It does everything right. Like if you the way Kingpin is in Amazing Spider-Man, think about that. Imagine that, but in the more kind of the Netflix Kingpin style.
So basically, Netflix Kingpin.
That's what I mean. Think Netflix Kingpin, but the whole mayor subplot and the way they do it. Like, there's one issue where this guy, like, Mayor Kingpin goes to this rich people. I can't remember exactly what I have on the top of my head, but he goes there, and one of the guys is an obnoxious asshole who's teaching him, like, you were the Kingpin, you were a criminal, like making all these prison joke puns. So Will sit in the bathroom, beats him to death, and the whole issue is him covering up the murder and having his Secret Service guys. Like the one guy in the Spider-Man run, because again I'm bad with the name, but the guy who's like Wesley or what it is, like it's like little snibbling, you know, assistant. No, he's an evil bastard in Daredevil where he's like covering up murders for Kingpin. Like there's moments where Kingpin's like, "Oh God, what I do? I killed another one," and he's like, "Nope, I'm hiring the cleaning crew. This person, ran off with his ex-wife and they blew up in a plane. We got an alibi. They'll never find the body. It's all taken care of." And then you got the Daredevil stuff, which is also really good. I mean, Matt's in prison right now, and he may or may not be killed off in a couple of months going by the list. Matt's in prison as Daredevil. You got fake Daredevils running around who are trying to take on the mantle when he quit for a while. Elektra's now Daredevil because her whole thing for a while there was Matt snapped the fuck out of it. And so now she's Daredevil. But then you have probably one of the worst annuals ever. And when you hear the title of it, you're going to groan. Daredevil, One More Day. Where a character remembers, hey, remember back in the 60s or the 70s where they had that storyline where Matt faked his death and he became Mike Murdock? I'm going to take the Cosmic Cube, because remember Marvel movies, and I'm going to make it change reality, because remember WandaVision, and make it that I was Mike Murdock and that I'm Matt's brother. And so it changes ripple effects in Daredevil's history to the point that his brother was a gambling addict who for the first time in his life was like, no, I believe in our dad, so I'm putting all my money and the family money on our dad winning the fight. So that's why Jack Murdoch doesn't throw the fight, because the son put all the money, including Matt's college fund, into gambling that his dad's gonna win. He's the reason why their nun mom ran away, and it's like they're changing everything. It's like, you don't need to do this. It's a game what Sean said. You don't need to retcon people's origins. And this whole one more day for Daredevil, retcon Daredevil's origin for the dumbest fucking reason ever. He now has an evil twin. You retconned everything and called it one more day for an evil twin. I mean, like, even the point that in the most recent issue, there's a scene where Matt's talking to somebody, I think Foggy or whatever, while he's, the prison scene where, behind the glass, where he goes, oh, God, I'm just like my idiot brother Mike. It's like, oh my God, it's like you retconned a whole history of a character now. And that's why, when they realized that the ripple effect of this thing was going to retcon the whole history, like, oh, it's just like one more day. And all the Spider-Man fans think right now we're going to undo one more day, so if we call this one more day, oh, can you imagine the dies we'll get? It's literally like, the whole point was, we knew this was going to piss fans off. So let's call it one more day, because we're Marvel, and we love pissing fans off. So yeah, other than that one really bad annual, it's a really great run. If you like dark, noir, classic, gritty, R-rated Daredevil, read it.
All right, James. What other books do you have for us?
The only other two I can think of right now are Black Cat and Fantastic Four. Because I was reading X-Men, but like I told you a few weeks ago, I dropped that. It's just falling into the same X-Men holes of like everybody's related to everybody, and I can't tell me who apart anymore. But yeah, Black Cat, it just rebooted, just got its relaunch. It originally got one of the books that got purged during COVID, where it was like in that limbo. Well, they just gave the next arc a new number one. Unlike Mary Jane or Gwen, Felicia gets the book, the ongoing, continuing after COVID, and because obviously Black Cat sells. Sex sells, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, and I really like what they're doing with it. It's right now it's a King of Black tie-in, so obviously it's going to tie in the King of Black, the first arc, where literally she teams up with Captain America, and there's a really cool line that sums up Captain America, where Felicia goes, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I don't care about politics. I don't watch the news. I don't give a fuck who the president is or what he's doing or what he says, and are we on the brink of nuclear war or not because of him. I don't give a shit. But when you stand next to Captain America, like, you get the sense of the pride where you just want to beat the shit out of the symbiotes. And I like it because that sums up Cap, that even if it doesn't matter what political side you're on, or if you're not taking sides, he doesn't represent a political side. He just represents the beating heart of freedom. You know what I mean? And I love that.
It's exactly who Captain America is.
He's called Captain America because it was propaganda against the Nazis, but Steve Rogers would much rather be called, ironic enough, I think if Superman wasn't a thing, he would totally be like, no, I'll be like Superman or Ultraman or Awesome Guy or whatever. He wouldn't want to be Captain America because he's like, it doesn't matter. I'll protect you if you're German. I'll protect you if you're British. I'll protect you if you're Japanese. I don't care. If I see a small guy being picked on, I'm going to go right up to that bullet and go, I'm ready for more. Like in the movie. And I love that how they did that with Black Cat. How she's like, I like how she takes that stance of like, I don't care about politics. I'm not going to get political in my book. But God damn it, he's Captain America. And I love it too because this is only the second time she has fought with Cap since like Maximum Carnage back in the 90s. So it's kind of cool. She's like, I don't want to get to hang out with this guy, but I really want you now. America, and I love how even somebody who admits that she's not political, like she idolizes Captain America. I love that. That's just the aura of Steve Rogers. And then there's like she just saved the heist is literally right before the symbiote goo gets on Steve. He goes, Doctor Strange is the key to all this, kind of. And then so the whole issue, the briefs issue, is their heist to steal him. like she gets a part of a symbiote on, like the anti-venom symbiote. So there's a symbiote Felicia, and I don't know, oh, it's a sexy woman symbiote. No, it looks like a convert like spy outfit, but it's the anti-venom. And then like how she gets him out, it's the Ghost Dog character. I can't think of its name right now, but a Ghost Dog character, Doctor something or another. She uses him to also get Doctor Strange out, and he's still out cold. They hijack the Spider-Mobile. Because of course she has to steal her ex-boyfriend's old car, and so it's literally them in the Spider-Mobile with a ghost dog, her wearing a symbiote, and a knocked out cold Doctor Strange in the backseat. How is that not awesome? Oh, and of course there are explosions because a world-ending Venom event is going on. So yeah, and then the last book is Fantastic Four. I will say,
a book that I was reading, but I just couldn't take it anymore.
The most recent Franklin Richards arc is kind of good because it's almost like his origin story of him becoming his own man, which Franklin Richards before this was a little kid. He didn't need to be his own man, but whatever, Dan. And then you have to literally almost like throw all the X-Men plans out. Hey, remember how there was an X-Men event a year ago when both X-Men and Fantastic Four rebooted after the Fox Disney deal? Where Franklin Richards was kind of the key. No, we're going to retcon it now where Professor X goes, you're not a mutant. Why? Because Dan doesn't want you in X-Men books. Because he wants to retcon everything about these characters and make them Dan Slott's versions of them, like he did with Spider-Man. So other than that, like that is the most cardinal sin that they committed in this arc. I did like it though. I did have fun with Franklin because the whole kind of multiverse pocket dimension, like with Marvel Reborn, like there's an evil entity that darkness, void kind of thing that destroys pocket dimensions, and now it's attacking the Marvel universe because of Franklin, and it sees Franklin as because the pocket dimensions that Franklin creates sees him as their god. So this villain saw herself as the devil. So she's like the destroyer to his creation, and it's actually pretty good. And I love it too because like there's a part where they think they destroy the Baxter Building with her in it because Franklin tricks them that he gets like an Iron Man Jr. suit, which is obviously Dan making an Iron Man Jr. joke. There's no way around it. And then you think that Franklin's in the suit, but then when she just thinks she kills him, it turns out the suit's empty and it's Tony pulling the whole like the old Tony Stark thing with the whole the suit's empty, gotcha. But it's Franklin doing it. And then when she does it, she screams, Richards! And then it cuts back. I can't remember if it's Alicia or if it's Sue. And they go, Franklin, sweetie, you got your first Richards from a supervillain. You're just like your dad. Like, father, like son. And I love that because it actually is a sweet moment of them being like, oh my God, you got your first Dr. Doom Richards scream. Your arch villain just literally did a Richards. Oh my God, we're proud of you. We're gonna put that A on the fridge when we get home. Only we destroyed our home, so. And yeah, I loved it though. That is a good moment. And then of course the villain turns out not to be dead, and then she has the ultimate. Remember the ultimate nullifier? The thing that can destroy the whole galaxy that stopped Galactus. Well, she has it, but then shit happens, and then she leaves, and she's, I'll get you next time, Richards. And then it sets up the King and Dead, stuff going on currently because everything has. Oh, not King is Dead, King and Black. So it sets up that. So the most recent arc at least ended good. I liked it. But it still is just Dan Slott. There is just too much goddamn Dan Slott-isms. Like, he's trying to find every excuse to put Spider-Man in it so he can continue that I wrote Spider-Man more than anybody else. He had that dumb thing where now, okay, upcoming arc is the Many Loves of Johnny Storm, where it's going to be every love interest of Johnny Storm fighting over him to be his soulmate. Because in that whole Space North Korea plot, they introduced this really dumb thing where they're like, we got these bands which connect you to your soulmate. And because Johnny's band is connected to this chick on our planet, they're soulmates. And so Johnny is totally right now like, she's my soulmate. And literally like every character like Peter Parker and other Fantastic Four characters and other Marvel characters like, wait, so this alien thing who is an evil asshole who's responsible for your powers says she's your soulmate because these bands, and you're totally going with it. Yep. It's like, that is dumb. That is so dumb. And then you got like oh my God, how he's like, again with the Space North Korea plot because this is the most biggest sins where they pop up in it. Like a lot of all the complaints people give about Dan Slott all happened in this arc. It is, oh my god. Me and John has talked about it. There's a scene where it's in the middle of a really serious moment where this guy is explaining how evil, fucked up, like we cast off like the non-normal, like disabled people and handicapped and call them monsters and throw them in the ghetto. And then Reed goes, "Hey, look, Sue, our bands are glowing. We're matching soulmates. Guess there's no fish people I have to worry about." It's like, are you making a Namor joke right now? Why would Reed Richards, of all people, make a goddamn Namor joke right now? Mr. Serious all business Reed Richards wouldn't get the joke, much less make the joke.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who read a lot of the Fantastic Four current run, I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take Dan Slott's terrible writing on it. I couldn't take the Doctor Doom arc was just so freaking stupid.
Because he had to make Doom a villain again because Bendis is gone.
And it's like, what didn't that arc end with, like, Sue made his mask invisible, so now they can all see his face again or something?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that is the. I'm like, just.
The thing is, it's almost like how Iron Man was kind of like what he wanted to do with Parker Industry without the editorial. You can't change Spider-Man. There's too much stuff holding him down. It's like, finally, I could do this with Tony. Nobody gives a fuck. The same thing happened with Fantastic Four, where he's like, all the quippy teenage action fun shit, I could do with Johnny. Oh, thank God. Oh, all the side stuff that I couldn't do even with Tony. Oh, thank God, I can do it with Reed. And that's what it is. His whole run on Fantastic Four. It's just Dan Slott doing the same stuff he did with Spider-Man, just now with the Fantastic Four. And there are some things I like. Like I said, the other than the retcon of Franklin no longer being a mutant, which throws into whack all of Marvel's whole kind of thing about how the children of these heroes and all these alternative timelines are considered mutants because they're born with powers. So that means they have the X gene. Now that's thrown out the window, and it's a dumb retcon, but the arc was still good. And then there's other things I like. I like that Ben finally married the love of his life, Elisa Masters. Because one of the things I like going back and rereading those old 60s and 70s Fantastic Four is his relationship. The Beauty and the Beast, how because love is blind and she's blind and she doesn't see him as a monster because she loves the man inside. So I like that Dan got that right, and he had them be married off. What I don't like is Alicia using her stepfather's evil puppet shit to brainwash her stepfather into giving Ben her hand in marriage.
I don't even remember that. What the hell are you even talking about?
I want to say it's in the annual, not the wedding issue, but the annual. There's like all those, like, you know how they do like the bachelor party and then the bachelorette party, which is totally just Dan drawing women being all hot and sexy. It's like they make a feminist joke with She-Hulk where she's all like, oh, whatever, and then she's all like, oh yeah, take your shirt off to men. Well, she's talking about, I hated when men used this googly eye me in my suit back in the 80s. So I'll look like it's a bathing suit. Oh yeah, take your shirt off. It's like, I get it, Dan. I get it. You're funny. And then then you get to the bachelor party one, where it's for Ben, and of course it's just Ben. What Ben would do, poker with the boys, cigars and drinks, having fun with all the superheroes. And then the second part is he goes to the prison to see Puppet Master, and then Puppet Master goes, "No, fuck you! I don't want her to marry one of my arch enemies." But then he randomly at the end of it goes, "But you know what? Because you would save the world and stop my evil plan like 100 bajillion times, I know you'll protect Alicia, even though he never cared about Alicia before. I know you would protect my stepdaughter. So yeah, you can have her hand in marriage." And he's like, "Wow, that was easier. That was weird. I don't get it, Alicia. Why would he do that?" And she goes, "Yeah, I don't know." And then behind her back, it's almost like a sitcom, like, "Oh, I don't know." She's hiding the clay doll of Pup Master.
Alicia all along.
It's like I get what they were doing. Like she knew that he would never give her hand in marriage to him. So but at the same time, why would she be? Because then you're justifying the villain because you're manipulating somebody against their will.
All
So,
right,
like I said, with the Fantastic Four, there's stuff he does that I'm like, oh, that's actually good. I actually liked it. I'll give you credit, Dad. And then he does something dumb like that where I have to take it 10 steps back. But it's like, I like the Fantastic Four. My dad's favorite superheroes were the Fantastic Four. So, in honor of my dad, I want to, I want to keep reading the Fantastic Four because I want to show Marvel that this book is supported, the Fantastic Four. That you should have brought them back. But at the same time, you put Dan on it, and there's too many goddamn Dan Slott isms.
all right. But that's gonna wrap up our comic kind of not review section, but just kind of comic insight section, I guess we'll call it. That's also going to wrap up this episode of the podcast. We don't really have anything else to talk about. Next week, again, we'll have WandaVision episode 8 to talk about.
No,
We're
no,
also
no, no, no. Sorry.
and we're also planning on talking about some of our favorite Marvel cartoons next week. So that's gonna be fun for us. And of course, any news that comes out, if we get any news that's worth talking about in between now and then, we'll discuss that as well. But James, any final words for the listeners before we sign off?
Not too much. Can't really think of anything. Like I said, just check out my article in the crawl space. I put a lot of time into writing that article, and I hope people enjoy it and get likes and views on it because I wrote something that's awesome. So check it out. Also, that's about it. All the season premiere of Power Rangers was today, and actually, Dino Fury looks really good despite repeating Mighty Morphin theme song. Like they pulled a deep cut in the first episode. I'm not gonna spoil it, but if you've seen season one, Zordon mentions this group of people and they haven't been seen other than in the Boom comic series since 1993. They're in the comics, but they weren't in the show since 93. And they show up, and when you see them, it's like, oh god, it all makes sense. It's actually really good. The villain dynamic of the season is actually a different twist on it. It might actually be a good season for the first time in years for Power Rangers. So check out Power Rangers Dino Fury.
All right, my final words for the listeners. Just thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for watching us on YouTube, or if you're listening to us on Spotify or wherever you're listening to us. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Don Heck, Jack Kirby, everyone who gave us Marvel. Thank you for everything you've done. Um, and yeah, so I guess this is going to be the end of this episode. So we will see you all later.